presentation, I'll demonstrate how to use the process macros to perform a moderation analysis. The example used is from the advertisement that was banned because it's received a lot of negative complaints or negative feedback from consumers. So what we wanted to see is why certain people perceive this advert negatively while others didn't. So we measured the attitude towards the advert. We assessed self-esteem of people and perceived media pressure and body appreciation. In this particular analysis, we're interested in does body appreciation moderates the relationship between perceived media pressure and negative attitude to advert. So the idea is that if you have a high body appreciation, you may experience, or the relationship between media pressure and the negative attitude to advert would be weaker. To answer this question, we need to perform a moderation analysis in process using Model 1. Model 1 is the basic moderation model, and this is the model where we'll be testing. So we have our predictor variable, our moderator variable, and our outcome or dependent variable. So here is the data set. And to perform the analysis, go to Analyze, Regression, and when you have the process macros installed, you will get this menu. Press on it, and this is the dialog box that will open where you can specify all your variables. So Y variable is the dependent variable. We put our negative attitude to advert as a dependent variable. The X variable is the predictor variable. Our predictor variable is the media pressure. And then you have mediators and moderator variables. So we are testing body appreciation as a moderator variable, and we put our moderator variable in here. The next things that you want is to specify some useful information you want SPSS to compute. So go to options, and a lot of these options are for mediation models. They're generally more popular, and there are more of them in process. But what you want to select is generate code for visualizing interactions. Because we're testing moderation, it's good to see how numbers are changing depending on the levels of the predictor and the moderator to better understand the nature of the interaction. And we want mean centered to construction of product. And another options that we want is join Neyman's output. That's again good for visualizing and plotting data. Press continue and press OK. Okay, so the output from process looks very different from the output of usual SPSS analysis. So it doesn't have the usual tables with the names, but it's actually, when you spend a bit of time looking at it, it's really easy to read. It's really well presented. So we have our model where attitude to advert is our dependent variable, media is our predictor variable, and body appreciation is our moderator variable. We have our sample size, and here we have our model. So we have a model summary. So in SPSS, that in the usual SPSS output, it will be in table titled model summary. And here you don't have a table, but you still have all the important information. So we can see that overall model explains 18.5% of variance in the dependent variable. And overall model is significant. But what you are interested in particular in here, so you have your main effect of media. So media has an effect on negative attitude advert, and here you have your standardized coefficients, so your regression beta coefficients. Body appreciation does not have an effect on negative attitudes towards the advert. And the interaction term, which is basically, does body appreciation moderate the relationship between media pressure and negative attitude to advert? And we see that the result is not significant. So body appreciation does not have a moderating effect. In here, interaction one, it explains to you how the interaction was computed. So it was media times body appreciation. And another interesting or useful output for you to understand is this centered effect of the moderator on the relationship. So if we have in here, because they're kind of centered and standardized, you can see them as like below the mean, as like low body appreciation group, kind of around the mean, and because their centered mean is 0, so in this case data set is a bit skewed, so the mean is not exactly 0. But this would be kind of a moderate body appreciation group, and this would be a high body appreciation group. And we can see that, for example, in the low body appreciation group, the effect is significant. In the moderate appreciation group, the effect is significant, but not in the high body appreciation group. So there is no significant effect on it. So it's the beta coefficient could as well be 0 in a population. To better visualize the data, we can look at this output, conditional effects. So we can see how body appreciation goes from low to high, and how the effect on the dependent variable goes. So we go from kind of quite almost strong effect on the relationship between predictive variable and the dependent variable to kind of low, almost like non-existent effect. So when we look at this output, potentially what we can see is if we would have a large sample size, this moderating relationship could have been spotted as significant, potentially. I mean, we have enough people, it's 107 people, but in a way the relationship doesn't change as dramatically for body appreciation to have a significant moderating effect on the relationship between media pressure and negative attitudes to the advert. So this is how you also get this output, and this data can be plotted in Excel to present or to build the graph to visualize the regression lines for people who had high, medium and low body appreciation. But in our case, we don't have an interaction, which means all those lines for medium group regression line, high group and low group, they will all be going parallel to each other. But this is basically how you would do the moderation analysis in process. And if you would have a significant moderation, you would see how this relationship changes, and the slopes of the regression lines for people who fall into low, medium, and high body appreciation group would be different In this case, the slopes are exactly the same or very close to be the same. And this is it on how to use the process macros to test moderation and how to interpret the results that the process produces.